Had they decided when they were coming back from Vietnam?
They were undecided.
But they were coming back for the bar mitzvah?
Oh, definitely. They wouldn't miss it for the world.
You were speaking to Mrs. Adelson after the verdict came out about her son being convicted, correct?
Yes.
Was she upset about that?
Yes. She was considering taking her own life.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. We are watching the trial of Donna Adelson happening now in Tallahassee, Florida. And the witness that her defense team has called is a lawyer who represented Donna's daughter, Wendy, in her custody battle with the victim in this case, Dan Markel. Let's go back in.
What did Wendy ask you to do to enforce that?
At some point, I wrote a letter, I believe, to opposing counsel. So this was, first it's a bunch of emails and phone calls, and then it's a letter saying, please pay so we don't have to file an enforcement. A part of our marital settlement agreement, if we have to file an enforcement and we win, which we would have because he had to pay, then he would also have to pay additional attorney's fees for doing that. So then it just becomes more and more money that he owes and he's not paying theoretically. So, and this was all on property issues. So unlike custody, we're not going to be able to, or child support, we can't put him in court or in jail. We're not going to be able to put him in jail or anything like that. We're only going to have to be able to go after his assets and things of that nature. It's a lot easier if people will just pay. So I finally filed a motion for enforcement saying he'd only paid $50,000. He owed the other money, and he owed me money, and I asked for a court hearing on all of that.
Sounds like it was pretty straightforward motion that you filed?
It was pretty straightforward. It was probably 4 or 5 paragraphs.
Okay. Did that prompt Mr. Markel to pay?
No, it did not.
What happened?
So then Mr. Markel hired a new lawyer. And his new lawyer filed a responsive pleading to that my motion, basically saying that he shouldn't have to pay because Ms. Adelson had breached the marital settlement agreement.
How did he allege that she breached the settlement agreement?
He filed multiple motions, but this first responses and motions, his first one, basically, if I remember correctly, was all about the money. And he said that he shouldn't have to pay because she had hidden the Charles Schwab money from him, and he used to have power of attorney, so he knew that she hid the money, which doesn't make sense because if he had power of attorney, he would know what the money was. So it didn't make sense to me. But anyway, that she had hidden that money and that she hadn't told him about several other of her retirement accounts, and therefore the marital settlement agreement was breached and he shouldn't have to pay her the money.
So you filed a response, but did he seek to have the settlement agreement itself voided or set aside?
He did not. So, and that is what I told Wendy at the time, is that is not a proper defense for not paying the money. Professor Markel, it was pretty obvious that he had actually written this pleading himself, and the lawyer just signed off on it. It had footnotes, which is not something litigation lawyers would do. It was voluminous, and it was very personal about what was going on and Wendy and how I don't think at this point he alleged that, he might have alleged that she had committed fraud. But an appropriate pleading would have been for him to file a 12.540. I know it's kind of technical, but basically if you think that an agreement is reached and it is not in good faith, or there's assets that were not provided, then you must file within a year for a 12.540 to have the whole agreement set aside. You can't just say one good breach is another. And I filed a pleading basically saying that his motion should be dismissed because it was inappropriate. And
You filed a motion to strike as a sham pleading?
I did. I filed a motion saying this was an inappropriate pleading and it should be dismissed because it was. It wasn't the correct way to go about doing what he wanted to do. And so I then tried to set hearings on those motions so that we could move this forward and everybody could get paid.
In the process of doing this with his responses, did he file subsequently a pleading that further alleged fraud on Wendy's part?
I think he filed at least one or two more pleadings that did that.
And before we get to the final one, that, you advised Ms. Adelson along the way of what you just told us about the unlikelihood of his success.
I did not think he was going to be successful in his response because it was an inappropriate pleading and it should have been dismissed, which I believe it would have been dismissed. And you can't say, I'm not going to pay you because you breached this agreement by not giving me documents. That just, first of all, there's a lot of case law that says that if a case is heavily involved with mediations and lawyers and all these documents have been produced, you had your shot at it. So he was not going to be able to do that. Plus, I knew that he knew about these assets because we had that conversation at mediation, and I had several conversations with his lawyer afterwards, and the marital settlement agreement listed all these assets that he was claiming he had no knowledge of, and they were already listed on the marital settlement agreement. So it was not, in my opinion, a successful response, and I told Wendy that it wasn't, and not to worry about it.
Now, there was a hearing in February of 2014. I think the records indicate that that Mr. Markel and his attorney were attempting to depose Ms. Adelson?
So what happened was I wanted to take his deposition so I could find out why he wasn't paying. And their response was to want to take her deposition, which I did not believe was appropriate because we were simply trying to enforce a marital settlement agreement, and there's nothing that would happen in terms of that marital settlement agreement that would require him to ask her any questions. So I did file a motion to protective order so that he would not take her deposition. We went to court on that issue in front of the same judge.
And what happened at that hearing?
At that hearing, which we did not have transcribed, which we usually do, but we didn't because it was pretty much a 15-minute hearing, the judge read all of the pleadings, and she said that she was very unhappy with Professor Markel's pleadings. She did not like them. She thought they were poking my client's eye, and they were not appropriate, and she never wanted to see pleadings like this in front of her again, but she was going to allow the deposition.
With some limits?
With limits, yes.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly all the limits, but they could only be about certain things.
Now, subsequent to that, did Mr. Markel file an additional pleading concerning complaints that he had about right of first refusal, parenting time, and things of that nature?
So that's the first time, and this is actually almost a year after the divorce, and we're done with the whole divorce. That's the first time that he brought up any parenting issues. And it was a series of issues that he had now about the parenting, and it was that Wendy wasn't allowing him to FaceTime with his children as much as he wanted to, that they weren't allowed to go to be present at the same birthday parties, that if there was a birthday party that he was at, she wouldn't come. I mean, things like that. And that she wasn't I think there was a right of first refusal in it, and that she was letting her mom watch the kids, and he didn't like her mom watching the kids, and I think he alleged that her mom was saying bad things to the kids, potentially about him. I think that was the first time. He also, I think it was that pleading where he went on a little bit more about Wendy and how she should probably be disbarred from the practice of law, and that I should be disbarred from the practice of law. I think it was that one.
As he's filing these things, are you still trying to set a hearing, or set the depositions and set hearing on your enforcement motion?
I've still been trying to do that. There were a number of hearings that got canceled. Some of them I think were because of the court needed to move things. Some of them were because I was trying to work this out still. I'm always trying to work out a case and not go to court if I can. So we were trying to work it out, but he wasn't paying, and I was trying to set hearings on all of this so we could get the money and we could get his motions dismissed because they were frivolous. Okay.
Now, the one motion concerning his my client, Mrs. Adelson, he referenced parental alienation. Have you dealt with parental alienation in your practice before?
I have.
And what is that?
Well, it's not actually a recognized legal term, and it's not actually a recognized mental health term by the mental health professionals. But it does happen. I mean, we all know that there are parents who do alienate their children against their spouse by saying really terrible things or trying to put up roadblocks to parentings. And I've had cases that were pretty serious in the past where little children, it doesn't usually impact teenagers. By the time they're teenagers, they've already they want to do their teenage thing. It really truly impacts not children this young either. It's usually like 7 to 9-year-olds that we deal with when we have parental alienation, where they become completely aligned with one parent inappropriately, and not because the other parent is doing something like abusing them or something like that. It's because the other parent truly is putting up these roadblocks. They do use those terms. I've seen it.
Okay. The statements that were included in the March 26, 2014 pleading filed by Mr. Markel that were attributed to my client, would that have resulted in any sort of relief preventing my client from having any sort of unsupervised time with the grandchildren?
No. It's not possible. And I told Wendy that.
Okay. Now, as Professor Markel continued filing things, did you realize that you were going to have to become a witness?
So I can't remember how many pleadings he filed on that regard. It may have been 3. And it was the last one that he filed. I believe it was in May, I believe, where he said that, where he became very personal to me, which occasionally happens. It doesn't usually happen with professional people, so I was surprised, but he became very personal towards me and said that I had committed fraud and that I should be disbarred based upon what had happened. At that point in time, I knew that I was going to actually have to be a witness now in this case. And as a witness, you can't be a witness and a lawyer representing your client. So I knew that I had to withdraw. So I withdrew so that I could testify in the case that was going to come up. And I sought a new counsel for Ms. Adelson at that point.
Did that result in the hearing that now, let me back up. Had you been able, prior to withdrawing, to schedule the hearing on your enforcement motion as well as Mr. Markel's motions?
I had it scheduled. It was scheduled, but then I had to withdraw because he filed that pleading after it was scheduled. So I had to withdraw, and I called Jimmy Jenkins and asked him if he could please represent Ms. Adelson. He said yes, but he needed more time to get up to speed on that case, so the hearing had to be moved.
Okay. And around this time, were you aware that Mr. Markel had to change counsel again as well?
I did not know that.
Okay. Were you aware that as Mr. Markel is filing these pleadings, including the one in March, that he continued to ask my client to watch the children during his time sharing?
I don't know what they were. I don't know anything about their correspondence. I really only dealt with Wendy.
And on that note, we discussed earlier that it's not unusual for parents or family to be involved in meetings. Was my client, Donna Adelson, involved in any of the meetings that you had with Wendy Adelson during her initial dissolution proceeding or any of the enforcement proceedings after the fact?
She was not involved in any. I never spoke to her except for the one hearing on relocation that she and her husband came to. But even then, it was very brief. They were very nice, lovely people. I didn't, even after even afterwards, they were fine. I had no issues with them, but I never spoke to them. I never emailed with them. They never came to any meetings. They were not involved with me.
Okay. And do you have a recollection of whether my client and her husband were in the courtroom for the relocation hearing, or were they out in the hallway?
I believe they were in the hallway. I don't believe they came in.
Okay, just a moment, Your Honor. Nothing further this time?
Cross-examination.
I have to tell you, my friends, as I'm watching this lawyer, I can't help but think, what is Dan Markel's side of this story? What would he say as a brilliant attorney about this? Remember, he made some very serious allegations against Wendy and this woman, this lawyer, who's on the stand. You heard her say she had to withdraw because she's going to become a witness and have to defend herself as he was making allegations of fraud. Well, we're about to get a taste, perhaps, of what Dan Markel would say if he were alive, as the advocates for the state of Florida are up next to fight for their position. We'll be right back.
Coming soon to Court TV.
The Microsoft executive gunned down. Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
Brian Walsh, accused of murdering his wife, Anna.
It's very disturbing, very heart-wrenching.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
She wrote a children's book about her husband's death. Now she's accused of killing him.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon. Only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. I want to show you the trials we're tracking for you across the country. In Wisconsin, we've got a brand new trial underway. We're calling it the Kiss and Kill murder trial for defendant Samantha Krebs. Yeah, this is her in all three of those mugshots. Same person, just some very different looks. She's accused of stabbing her boyfriend to death. They're picking the jury right now. We'll keep you posted on when they get the jury seated. In California, we've got defendant Michaela Reilersdam with a hearing at 11:30 a.m. You may remember her. She's the OnlyFans model accused of murder after one of her clients died during a fetish session. And in Florida, we've got Donna Adelson's defense continuing its presentation. Remember, she's cloaked in the presumption of innocence. They don't have to put on a shred of evidence, but they're choosing to. They've called Wendy's lawyer. Now it's time for her to be cross-examined.
Good morning.
So you said you weren't aware of Donna Adelson's involvement.
She was not involved with me.
Okay.
So no.
Did you know that she was drafting Wendy's filings and having Wendy copy and paste them to send to you?
She couldn't have drafted any of the filings because I drafted the filings.
What she would like to be put in the filings, how about that?
I'm not aware of any of that, no.
Okay. Do you know that she was drafting things for Wendy to put in her filings in Wendy's voice?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Did Wendy, though, give you input on things maybe to put in filings or things that she would like said on her behalf?
Not a lot. I talked to Wendy on a pretty regular basis when I was filing something on the phone or by email. And she was a very good client. in all honesty, where she listened to me and she basically, we have clients that don't. Now we have clients that give you ChatGPT and want you to do ChatGPT pleadings, you know, so there's that. She wasn't that client. She would say something like, well, and my pleadings were very short. I mean, my pleadings were very, very short. They were to the point and like, no, dismiss this, that's not true. There wasn't a lot more going on in most of them.
So you wouldn't have knowledge of Wendy sending pleadings to her mom and saying, let's edit this?
No, because I wouldn't have edited it based on that anyway.
Okay.
I mean, maybe they did, but I didn't do it.
All right.
And I never heard about it.
Okay. So this would have been between Donna and Wendy?
If that happened, yeah.
You mentioned that, of course, she had a shot with relocation, but given the situation in this case being that the kids were raised in Tallahassee, the parents' jobs with FSU, you were not personally surprised when the relocation was denied.
I'm never surprised when a relocation is denied.
Because it's hard to prove detriment at that time.
I'm always hopeful, you know, but,
Right.
And I thought she had a good shot or I wouldn't have let her do it. I mean, I'm not going to file a frivolous motion, and I thought she had a good shot for a number of reasons.
Regardless, though, of what you think, do you ever have clients or family members of clients who have unrealistic expectations of what the courts will allow or what you can do for them?
Yes.
Okay, even given your best guidance?
Yes.
Okay. That's not an uncommon thing.
No, that's why parents are often involved in these cases and come to talk to me about what they think I should be doing. Yes, I get that a lot.
Right, and at that relocation hearing, were Donna and Harvey Adelson possible witnesses?
You know, I've been trying to think about that. I think that that's probably why I had them sit outside, is because they could potentially be witnesses in invoking the rule. However, I think we had come to either the close of our case.
But you wouldn't know that until you were done calling witnesses.
Correct. So that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So that's why they were in the hallway.
That's why they were in the
likely.
hallway. Yeah.
Okay, not because they didn't care or they weren't involved.
Oh no, they were very nice. I mean, I met them. They were there when I got there in the morning. They introduced themselves. They were very nice. We did our thing. Came back and told them afterwards. Nobody yelled or screamed or cried or did any carrying on, which sometimes happens. So no, it was all very appropriate.
Okay. Do you sometimes have clients or family members of clients who take the news harder than you do when they lose something in court?
Well, I don't like to lose either. So there's that. I don't like it. That's why I don't like to go to court if I think I'm going to lose. That's why I want to settle things. But sometimes they take it really hard, especially family if they're not there. They do.
Okay. And you said Wendy was upset when she was denied the relocation, but she was calm. Oh, let me also ask you this. Wendy Adelson stipulated to the denial of the relocation after you found out behind the scenes from the judge that it was going to be denied.
Correct.
Okay. And she was upset about it, but calm.
Yes.
She's not screaming.
No.
No, okay.
And I have people do that. I mean, I've had to have my own clients taken by the bailiff out.
I'm sure you've seen it all. And how did Donna Adelson feel about not winning the relocation?
I don't know how she felt. I can only tell you that I came out, I talked to Wendy, and then briefly, as far as I remember, because I mean, it was 13 years ago, I think I talked to all of them and kind of told them what happened and what was going on. And, you know, I didn't agree with the judge, but this is the judge, and they get to make these decisions. And I think that Wendy went and talked to her parents without me, and then came back and said, okay, we're good. We can go into court and we can stipulate.
Okay.
Which is what I had suggested.
So if there are emails of Donna Adelson being upset about and very disappointed and about it being denied or unhappy with your representation for some reason, that's not something she's telling you to your face?
No.
Okay. You talked about Dan Markel not paying what he was supposed to pay according to the settlement agreement. In Dan Markel's court filings, did he give, and I know you don't agree with those reasons, but did he give his reasons for not paying?
He gave his reasons, yes.
Okay. And that included the fact that he was accusing Wendy of noncompliance.
That's true.
Okay. Eventually, did you seek to have Dan Markel held in contempt of court?
I did. It was part of my motion was to have him held in contempt of court and enforced it. That's not the kind of contempt where I can throw him in jail.
Yeah, what does that mean, contempt of court? Can you explain that?
So in a child support hearing or an alimony support hearing, if someone doesn't pay their child support or their alimony, we can have someone held in contempt of court and put in jail if we can prove they had the ability to pay, but they're just not paying, and then the court can put them in jail until they pay the amount they're supposed to pay, okay, because they have it. If it's a property issue, we can't really have them held in contempt of court because it's a property issue, and that was part of why Dan's pleadings didn't make a lot of sense, because he was mixing up property and child issues, and you can't do that. It's strictly property or it's kid issues. In a property issue, it would be a multi-step thing to have him held in contempt of court. He would basically, the judge would have to find that he was not paying, he's willfully not paying, and then...
Could I ask you a different question?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But even in a property...
All right, let's do some analysis now. I want to bring in our law enforcement analyst guest, Sunny Slaughter, watching along with us. Sunny, good morning to you. What are you thinking as you're watching the cross and hearing this lawyer's responses?
Good morning, Julie. Thank you for having me. So initially when I listened to her, because of course I've been watching you all morning and our amazing guests, I said, I'm picking up on some bias in her testimony when she was being cross-examined by the defense, and I didn't know what that was. And then I understood when she said that Dan Markel had then said that she should be disbarred and everything. Now I'm listening to her, and I think her testimony is quite interesting that she is explaining it in this manner, because as someone who actually spent a lot of time in family court on these issues and working on reports regarding non-child support, and also did probate work and court stuff, I'm like, okay, you're trying to explain why you sound so biased on the witness stand for Wendy. And I just think she is, she's telling a story, but not necessarily the story.
Right. No, Sunny, I like your analysis there. Let's take it a step further, if we can, please. So I saw a couple comments from our fellow courties saying that essentially this lady better tread lightly because she's making some accusations at a man who cannot defend himself, a brilliant lawyer by all accounts. Everybody we've talked to, some of our mutual colleagues knew Danny Markel very well and knew what a legal scholar he was, and really a lover of the law and a lover of fairness. And for him to go so far as to say there was a fraud being perpetrated on the court, allegedly by this lawyer, allegedly by Wendy, that carries a lot of weight, and she seems to be making some comments about him, and our courties aren't liking it, Sunny. What do you think about that? Are the position she's taken, do they need to be careful what they're saying about Dan Markel?
I think she definitely needs to be careful because she is still a practicing attorney. Okay, so she has some ethics that she needs to abide by from her professional standpoint. And then when it comes to this particular case, she is sounding so biased and she is making accusations. Apparently, Dan Markel was an excellent attorney that the judge did not buy her position when it came to why the children needed to be relocated. He cannot defend himself. She is not bringing forth any documentation to say what, to go along with what she's saying. And I think as a professional, she just needs to stick to the facts and not her biased opinion of that she used to represent Wendy, because she is not sounding as professional as I think she should.
Yeah, that's great advice. You do litigation consulting work, Sunny. This is the kind of thing you would advise on. So well said. We'll see what she does as there's more cross-examination ahead. Sunny, stand by kindly, please. Friends at home, if you want to get some more coffee, go do that. We'll be back in just 4 minutes. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Let's go back into the courtroom in Florida and see more of the cross-examination of Wendy Adelson's lawyer.
What ultimately is the consequence of that is my question.
So ultimately, the ultimate consequence is we would probably get a final judgment against him for the amount that was owed.
Like a lien.
And a lien against, and we would get a lien against the house, and we would, and then I have to do this often, I would send them to a debt collector attorney who would then have to file another suit to be able to collect that money, and then they would probably be able to go into his assets and get the assets. So it's a multiple stage process, which is why I just wanted him to pay the money and not make me do this.
So if it was successful, probably a lien. Worst case scenario, he could go to jail. And then him being an attorney, though, could he lose his bar license, possibly? If he's held in contempt of court? Or at least be in trouble with the bar?
He could. I've had lawyers held in contempt of court over these issues before. I haven't had one lose their license yet.
Okay.
But they could. It is a possibility.
Did you inform Wendy Adelson that you were seeking to have him held in contempt?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably did, because it's kind of a generalized form. It's a motion for contempt and enforcement.
Okay. And then at some point, did he allege that Wendy Adelson should be held in contempt?
I don't know if contempt, I can't remember if he actually said she should be held in contempt. Legally, the way that I was using it, I think his pleadings were much more, Wendy should be disbarred.
Okay.
I mean, that's what he specifically said.
Right.
That she was committing fraud and she should be disbarred.
Would you describe this divorce as contentious?
I wouldn't describe the divorce as particularly contentious at all compared to most of the divorces I had. I mean, we settled it. I don't settle a lot of my cases where we actually go to week-long trials over things of that nature. I think it was like any divorce where there were ups and downs of moments where it was contentious and not fun, but for the most part, we kind of settled it. We settled it after mediation, and it wasn't a problem. I do think that this whole issue of the enforcement got a little contentious. I really didn't understand it because he paid the first $50,000 fine, and then all of a sudden he decided not to pay the rest, and I didn't really get it and know why he was doing that, because the parenting stuff didn't come up for like several months afterwards. So none of what he was doing made sense. I think he just got upset with Wendy or something. I don't know what it was.
Okay, thank you for that information. It wasn't contentious, but you did say that his motions were very personal. His pleadings were very personal.
That's where I think it became contentious, is when he did that.
Was that personal attacks on both Wendy Adelson and you?
Correct.
And he was alleging that Wendy Adelson committed fraud, right?
Yes.
He's alleging you committed fraud.
I did.
It got so bad that you had to get off the case so that you could be a witness on Wendy Adelson's behalf, right?
Correct. That's happened before, though. I mean, I've had that happen before.
And he alleged Wendy should be disbarred, you said.
Correct.
And he's having issues with Wendy's mom, Donna Adelson, even being able to watch the kids, is what you said in one pleading.
One of the pleadings said something about the right of first refusal that he had, and she shouldn't be allowed to have the kids unsupervised, I think, during right of first refusal, because she was saying things about him to the kids, he thought.
And did the litigation between Dan Markel and Wendy Adelson continue even after you got off the case?
Once I got off the case, it was the end of June, and I think that he was gone within a few weeks after that.
So you were supposed to be a witness on Wendy Adelson's behalf, right?
Correct.
Were you ever able to have that hearing?
No.
Why not?
Because I got a call from Jimmy Jenkins when I was in Tampa at something that he was dead. It was pretty shocking.
Does that happen very often in your divorces?
That does not. We've had a few people get murdered, and I've had a few suicides.
Okay.
But it's rare, and I remember all of them.
Right, but not contentious.
Sometimes, I don't know with the suicides, I don't know.
That's all.
Thank you.
Redirect examination.
Briefly, Your Honor.
Yeah, you know, interesting point to end on, because this lawyer, throughout her direct examination, kept painting the picture that this wasn't a contentious divorce, that everything was hunky-dory between Dan Markel and Wendy Adelson. And did you notice her choice of words? I heard this, I'm sure you did too, my friends. She said, then he was gone. Gone. You know, he didn't die from natural causes. He was assassinated. There was a hit out on him, a plot to kill him. That's how he was taken from this earth. He was murdered. Interesting choice of language there from the lawyer. And then she qualified it saying, well, she's had, you know, cases, unfortunately, where a murder occurs or a death by suicide. Let's see what happens on redirect. We're going to watch that next. We'll hit a quick break. Then who do you think will be the next witness called by Mama Donna's team? We'll find out together here on Court TV Live.
The WNBA is on Ion. The Sky traveled to Wendy to clash against the Fever. Then the Liberty go coast to coast to take on the Storm. Coverage begins Friday night at 7. Find Ion wherever you watch. Ion, it's on.
These are the cases that captivated the world.
Couldn't keep my life straight.
They were killed by their own children.
That challenged the legal system and ourselves. Court TV, Legendary Trials.
Back to court, I want to take you now. We're in the trial of Donna Adelson. We've got Wendy's former lawyer on the stand, the lawyer who represented her in that custody battle with Dan Markel, a battle we understand to be quite bitter, quite contentious at the time. This lawyer says no, says everything was very pleasant, said Wendy was always very calm. She's about to be redirected by Donna Adelson's lawyer now.
First witness.
You may.
Ms. Adelson, I'm going to approach and show you. I'm sorry. States demonstrative A, I think it's Court Exhibit 1, page 441 of the demonstrative. And then I'm holding 454. If you can hold that,
Sure.
please.
Okay.
Is that the March 26, 2014 pleading that Mr. Markel filed?
It appears to be.
Can you turn to 454 that I had tabbed?
Yes.
Is that the prayer for relief for that motion?
Yes.
Can you direct your attention to the portion that reflects my client's, Donna Adelson's, time with the children? Does that reflect that Mr. Markel was asking that my client's unsupervised time with the children not interfere with his right of first refusal?
I think you're talking about paragraph 6, where it says, enjoin the former wife from allowing the maternal grandmother to have unsupervised time with the children consistent with the right of first refusal. That was that right of first refusal.
Yes.
And to impose appropriate limitations to safeguard the children from being subjected to disparaging comments about their father.
Ms. Adelson, did you testify that the divorce was not contentious, but some of his pleadings post-divorce were contentious?
I think that's accurate.
Okay. And that his pleadings were personal. He essentially attacked both Wendy Adelson and yourself.
Correct.
Okay. Is that what caused you to withdraw?
I'm very used to personal attacks. I've had a lot of personal attacks. The only reason, and I'm fine with that, the only reason that I withdrew is because I was going to be a witness. not because I cared what he said about me.
Had Mr. Markel not included in his pleadings these attacks, would that hearing have gone forward in May of 2014?
If he had not included personal attacks against me that I would have had to testify about, then I would have continued with the hearing.
Now, I want to go back to relocation. After the relocation hearing, my client, Donna Adelson, appeared to accept the court's ruling. To you.
As far as I know.
You don't know what she said privately, do you?
I do not.
Concerning Wendy Adelson's involvement in drafting of pleadings, I understood your testimony on cross to be that you'll take input from clients, but ultimately you're the one who is drafting the pleadings.
I take responsibility for my pleadings, and I've never filed a pleading based upon what a client told me I have to do. I will take input because I don't know all the facts. Sometimes I need more facts from them so that I can do it, but I'm ultimately responsible. My name's on those pleadings.
And so you're not going to cut and paste from what a client sends you?
Well, sometimes if they send me really good facts, I'll sort of go, oh, these are good facts, and then I'll take the facts and I'll put them in, but not legal arguments or anything like that, no.
So if you took facts that were provided to you by Wendy Adelson and put those in the factual statements or arguments concerning pleadings or memoranda, the law is still your own writing.
The law is, and I don't really think Wendy, I don't remember that Wendy had much input into any of it, honestly. She wasn't that client. I have clients that are those clients, and she was not that client. I get a lot of ChatGPT now, a lot, telling me what I should be filing.
I don't think you're the only one there, ma'am. Had you not withdrawn to be a witness, the motion would have been heard in May of 2014.
May or June, whenever it was set. I don't remember exactly when it was set.
Okay,
whatever the docket says for whenever it was set, yeah.
So if the docket reflects, I think it was May 15th of 2014, the hearing would have gone forward.
Correct.
The judge would have been able to make a decision on all the pending issues.
I believe that's the case.
Nothing further?
Will this witness be recalled?
Just a moment. We'll retain her, but she's free to go about her business.
Thank you.
You may step down. Please call your next witness.
She said Wendy wasn't that client. Did you see Donna smiling there when that testimony came out? Do you think Donna is that client? Let's ask Sonny Slaughter. Sonny, what do you think, please?
Donna is that client.
I had a feeling you'd say that. I agree, my friend. I agree. And I think Donna knows Donna is, huh? How she was smiling there.
She was like, oh, yeah, that's not her. That's me. Oh, my Lord. Let me tell you, the divorce wasn't contentious. She only withdrew for I'm not sure why we had this witness testify, but they get to do what they want to do on the defense. I always appreciate a zealous defense. I'm not sure why this person was on the witness stand. I know I'm getting ready to go off, but come on, Julie, let's see what happens.
Sonny, thank you so much. Always great having you on. And yeah, we'll see if this witness moved the needle at all for the defense team. I hear what you're saying, and we'll see who's coming up next. We don't know. So everybody